Good day, folks. This is Greg Judy, Green Pastures Farm. Today, my special guest is Billy, and it's Bond, Billy Bond. Billy, tell us a little bit about your operation and what you're all about.
Well, I'm a Christian American, heterosexual, pro-gun, liberty-minded permaculture designer, which makes me about one of the rarest people on the planet. And we do pretty much everything: pigs, sheep, cattle until recently, chickens. We basically raise our pork for 21 cents a pound. We raise our chickens for free. Basically taking a lot of what Greg has taught in his books, and which I highly recommend, and have put it to work out on our farm to basically have everything we need with as little to no inputs at all. And we take a lot of different dogs to the hunt, and the one we take concerning grazing in terms of our microbe management, all of that, most of it, a lot of it we get from Greg. And it's one thing to read these things in books, which, by the way, I've reread his second book again. And it's one thing to see it in books. It's entirely another to see it here three-dimensionally. So if you ever get a chance to come out here and see what I'm seeing right now, you need to get on the first thing smoking and get yourself over to Clark, Missouri. But before then, go ahead and get yourself every book he's ever written. So that's probably a long-winded answer to what you're asking, Greg, but it's a real joy to be here.
Well, Billy, you've got a podcast too. You do? Is it a podcast?
Yeah. It's we got our YouTube channel, Perma Pastures Farm, and then we do a spin on that, and it's called the Permaculture Pimpcast. And PIMP is an acronym that stands for Permaculture is My Passion. But we do it from a, like I said, I make no bones about what I believe and where I stand, and I think we're one of the rare people in that space. And then, so we have people on from time to time, like one of my heroes, a guy that I'm just standing in front of right now. And we're gonna do a lot more of that in the future. But yeah, it's, we basically cover everything from permaculture, preparedness, and practical living. And we do permaculture from a very, very liberty-minded perspective, which is really rare in this space.
Yeah, and you're located in North Carolina?
Yes, sir. We're up here in the highlands of North Carolina at an undisclosed location for reasons of security.
Yep.
Therefore, insecurity. So,
Yep. No, I understand.
Yeah, we do it all there. And we teach everything from butchery. I'm a classically trained butcher. We teach everybody how to butcher, how to make compost in 18 days. We're teaching a new composting method right now. So everything from when the time that animal is born until the time we put it in the freezer, we do it all because it saves piles of money. We're a farm that makes money, which is extremely rare these days.
Yep.
And a lot of the techniques we use, we got from you.
Well, Billy, what do you think about, there's a lot of people coming back to the land that have 5 acres, 10 acres, and 20 acres, and they're concerned about food security. And what do you think about that?
Well, I think they have every reason to be concerned, especially if you're in a position of where you have to get all of your inputs from other sources, which brings me right back to you. Also, people are complaining and wondering, how do I go out and buy land? Well, you cover that in your books. And in the podcast, I talked to Greg about how we took his methods of acquiring land from a lease perspective and using it to buy land. We've done it numerous times, all from your book. I mean, they say books are wonderful for all these different reasons, but they can also create action that is really something that you reap the benefits of. So we've taken, if you're out there and you're concerned about where to get land, well, I'm going to cover more of that in the podcast, but honestly, read Greg's books because he talks about that. Because land is available. It may not be the best land in the world, but it is available. And so start there. Greg did a recent series on if you have 5 acres, and then he did one a couple of years ago if you have 10 acres. Really good place to start.
Yep.
We talk about water, access, and structures and stuff like that, and how you should orient that into what you're doing. All of which, I mean, there's so many different ways. If you're worried about food security, and you should be, well, right now, you need to be looking at every single way for passive food production. That's why we teach how to put in food forests, how to put in orchards, and how all those things in a silvopasture setting could go hand in hand with the cattle you have.
Yep.
There's no reason that any of these things have to be isolated in a single place. So we have our animals run in and out of our orchards. They're depositing that awesome fertility behind. It washes down in front of those trees.
Yep.
And so we're in systems now that really create this level of abundance to the point where we literally, at our farm, we literally have to give it away. Just recently, in fact, on the way here, I just dropped off dropped off a pig that I processed to a guy from Oklahoma on the way here. I met him down in Springfield. He's my best friend. Dropped off that pig, pretty much gave it to him because the abundance that we are now producing is a byproduct of just good management. And a lot of it we learned from Greg Judy.
Well, that's awesome. Well, you know what? That's a mouthful in a short period of time, and you shared a lot about your passion. I can feel the passion between the words that you're saying and what you've done. I've watched your stuff too on YouTube, and folks, check him out. Again, what is your YouTube channel?
YouTube is Permapastures Farm, and the podcast is the Permaculture Pimpcast, where permaculture is my passion. That's what that acronym stands for.
Okay, and your website?
Permapasturesfarm.com.
Okay.
Yeah, you can reach us there. Email, if the email's working these days, it's touch and go, but yeah.
Well, folks on the East Coast, I would highly recommend y'all get a hold of Billy and check out what him and his family's about. And I was tickled to death that he signed up and came. And I didn't realize that your wife had come years earlier.
Yeah, did you recognize her?
No.
Yeah, she'd come years back. And she came back, and immediately we started doing, at that time, we'd been something of nomads where we go from place to place, fix it up, and move on.
Yep.
Immediately, when she came back, we started putting in the work. Everything, at that time, we were doing just basically MIG. We weren't doing...
Plan grazing.
Yeah, we weren't doing it any other way, but we were still seeing massive
Right.
results. And we were taking what we were learning from you, or what she learned from you, and then turning back around, putting it into the systems we already had, where all of it works like the fingers of your hands. So
Perfect.
yeah, she was here, I'm here, and maybe in the future I'll come back and get some stock from him. So maybe I'll make another trip out here.
Well, Billy, we're excited to have you, and I want to just take a few minutes this morning to shoot this before we get going on the school, because it gets really busy, and some incredible people come to our schools, and I don't get a chance to interview them. And so I made it on my wish list. I was going to get Billy on this YouTube. So thank you, Billy, and we're going to get going here. And again, have a good one, and everyone hit that subscribe button on the way out, and we'll see you next time.